Five Nights at Freddy's 2. What a sequel, man. I gotta say, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 does a lot better than the original, but there's also a lot that makes it a dumbed down version of what the series should have been. I mean, this game came out about a year after the first one, and it was teased several times throughout the months of 2014 by the series creator Scott Cawthon. He would drop little teasers, and fans of the series would speculate what was going on and what this new entry was going to be about. The hype around this game before it was released was crazy. The first title in the series was a massive success and really took a new role to horror games. It wasn't your typical run and hide that many horror games that time were adopting. It was one of the best examples of your character just sitting and waiting to be approached by the antagonists. And it was seriously scary. When I was 9. No, but seriously, the game has held up really well, and it is one of the only games in the series that I can say stood the test of time. I'm staring at you, Security Breach.
We are together.
Hi.
I was a massive fan of the series when it released, and when the sequel randomly dropped, I had my iPad all ready to go. But the last time I played it was years ago, so I recently dove back into it to see how it held up. And, well, there's a lot happening in the sequel. Many more characters have joined you on your night watch, some of my favorites being the withered original characters. I gotta say, they were a great part of this game and looked so much better and more threatening than the original game. The animations of them standing in front of you was also so much scarier, a lot more than them standing in the doorway or outside staring up at the camera. I also like Balloon Boy a lot in this game. I love the little noises he makes, and when he leaves his position on the camera as little balloons stay behind. I don't know why I like him so much, probably because he scared me the most when I was a little kid, and it was a great addition to make him stop the player from flashing their light instead of just jump scaring you.
What do? I can't do anything!
His character is unique because they gave him something else to do, not just jump scare you like every other character in the series does. I don't know what it is, but I really like the promotional material for this game too. Scott really knows how to hype his fans up and get them excited, especially a long time before release. He is always playing this guessing game with his fans, and I gotta say, he treats his fan base probably better than most developers I've ever seen. He realizes we support him, and he makes it fun for us, even months before the game's release. I mean, look at some of the f***ing promotional images. They are honestly really well made and make me hyped for a game I've already played. You can tell he put some serious time into them and makes you question what he means every time he drops one. I mean, he dropped the second game 87 days after the first one. Get it? Some of the animatronics of the characters look great too, like when Bonnie passes you by with the mask on, or just Mangle standing in the hallway. There are a lot of fun things that the sequel does right, but I hate the music box. I think the music box is really annoying and a big part of why this game becomes so difficult. I think Scott wanted to add more to do besides watching cameras, which he really didn't need to do besides watching Foxy in the first game and also just closing doors. He added the music box and the mask to give the player more to do, but it honestly feels more like a gimmick. Both of them do. The puppet is a fine character, and I never really saw the hype around him. He really is just below average, and there was such a great concern on his part in the lore of this game, and I just really never liked that. He doesn't do anything besides jump scare you, and if you don't wind up the box, it's just like a cheap-ass jump scare too. F*** you, puppet. The mask was an interesting idea, but I feel like it gets old quickly. So the idea of the mask is that the player can put on a Freddy Fazbear head to disguise himself as an animatronic, so when one enters the office, they confuse you for another Muppet. I get the idea behind the mask and why he put it in, but I don't know why he thought it was going to be a fun addition. Honestly, I preferred the doors over the mask. And I guess Scott realized this because in later entries, he went back to doors and we really never saw the mask ever again. The later nights get ridiculously tedious and hard when you have to wind the box, then throw on your mask before Bonnie scares you. You don't know if you're dead or not until the next time you put the mask on, and then you just sit there waiting, hoping you've survived until... After the first few times of that happening in the later night, the game becomes more hard than scary. The difficulty in this game was a rough one. The first two nights of the game isn't really hard and the atmosphere is pretty much perfect. It isn't giving too much away, and looking at the camera at each of the rooms and seeing how the layout has changed compared to the first game was really cool. I like the little details Scott put in to make the place feel lived in. I mean, most of the work going into this game was shit for the player to look at on the cameras. The old animatronics in the corners of the cameras were also great because you didn't originally know they were going to be up wandering around, and they didn't become a threat until a few nights in, which drastically changed the scares after a few nights of getting used to the toy versions. Handling the music box, the mask, and the animatronics is really hard and so annoying after a time. The third night is pretty difficult, and everything after that is just too much. No wonder Markiplier acted the way he did when he fully completed the game. Who the f*** can do this? You have to be close to perfect in this game, and I don't know when a game being hard equals a game being good. You pretty much spend the rest of the night with your camera on the music box, barely ever getting to look around like you could in the first Five Nights at Freddy's. So honestly, the game just becomes being a perfectionist at this point. It goes from enjoying the atmosphere and soaking it in to a Dark Souls game. I also didn't like what they did to Foxy in this game. Foxy's another character I really like right next to Balloon Boy. Foxy was the best animatronic in the first game. Freddy just stood around and did nothing until the fourth night. Bonnie was constantly on your dick, and Chica was a less annoying Bonnie. Foxy was the only one who felt like a looming threat, and watching him slowly open his curtain the less you checked on it was great. Then to see him sprint down the hallway, god damn, that is a great jump scare. In this game, Foxy resides in the hallway and does nothing more. I mean, we don't even get to see a withered Foxy show up in front of the player. All the other withered characters get their time in the sun, but withered Foxy is ripped apart and put back together into Mangle. And I hate Mangle. He's just a ripoff of Balloon Boy, and y'all know how much I love me some Balloon Boy. Ugh, I can honestly go on forever with the things I disliked in the sequel, but before the comments go crazy on me, you gotta remember there are a lot of things I enjoy about the second game. And honestly, I think the sequel does a great job at integrating the lore and putting a more concrete timeline down in the series. It isn't the original, and it doesn't have the charm the original has, but it's like the stunt double. It's a solid game and still really good considering some of the other titles in the series. I commend Five Nights at Freddy's 2 for following up on such a hit game. And when I was younger, this game happened to be my favorite in the series, but after many years, revisiting it has not been such a great experience. But I don't hate it. We will eventually get to the games in the series I can't stand. But honestly, no matter my gripes for each game in the series, I really just want to say thanks to Scott for all his hard work on it. I know he is no longer a part of the universe and has gotten some hate based on his political views, but his personal life is his. And it's great the games he left behind are ours. So thank you, Scott. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This has been my first video. And yes, I'll be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's 3, so just stay tuned.